a short takeoff. It comes to us from the 9th Escuadrilla of the Spanish Navy, stationed at Rota. It's an example of what they dub the EAV-8B+, Harrier 2, and it's on the roll. Getting the gear up, in the bounce position, with a teardrop to the north, for a fly past at 200 feet at a speed of 450 knots. After the United States, Spain became the first export customer for the Harrier. It bought the early AV-8A model, calling it the AV-8S, named the Matador. They were delivered from 1976. Spain took 11 of those, plus two-seat TAV-8S models. They flew from the then Spanish Navy aircraft carrier, the Devalo, and from 1988, the newly commissioned Príncipe de Asturias. From 1987 to 88, they started to receive the new EAV-8B model, and from 1996, the B+ that we see here. In from the right then. Harrier 2s gave the Spanish Navy a night and all-weather attack capability. Since 2013, with the decommissioning of the Príncipe de Asturias, they've flown from a landing helicopter dock LHD ships, the Juan Carlos I. Their primary mission is to provide Spanish naval forces with the capability to attack surface targets from the air. They also perform close air support missions and other air-to-ground tasks, carrying up to 12,000 pounds of ordnance on 7 weapon stations, that augmenting the 25mm Gatling gun. Next pass, from the left, with an aileron roll. On the next run, we will see the aircraft pitching into a max performance turn. Spanish Harriers can employ both laser and GPS-guided weapons from 500 to 2,000 pounds, plus short and medium-range air-to-air missiles, and the pilots wear night vision goggles to afford them that night and all-weather capability. The pilots who belong to the 9th Escuadrilla are all graduates of the 5-year Spanish Naval Academy course. When they graduate, they spend 2 years on a ship, after which they can be chosen to specialise as naval aviators. All of the Spanish pilot training is done by the US Navy. They start on the T-6 Texan II at Naval Air Station Pensacola in Florida. They then move on to the T-45 Goshawk at Naval Air Station Meridian, Mississippi. Their training, if they're successful, culminates in that all-important first carrier trap, landing on a conventional aircraft carrier in the T-45C model of the Goshawk. V-stall capabilities starting to come into their own with a slow fly past with the vector thrust nozzle set to 70 degrees. Took the AV-8B model to war in Operation Desert Storm in the Gulf in 1991. RAF Harrier GR7s patrolled the no-fly zone over northern Iraq and supported coalition operations over the Balkans during the conflicts there in the 1990s, as did Royal Navy Sea Harriers, first of all the FRS-1s, and then the newly upgraded or new build Sea Harrier FA-2s. And with the advent of Joint Force Harrier, Harrier GR7s and GR9s flown by both RAF and Navy pilots were heavily engaged in Afghanistan from 2004 to 2009, as were US Marine Corps AV-8Bs. It went at the slow at 80 knots. Into the hover, that this aeroplane is far more of a challenge to fly the V-Star regime than the F-35B that we saw earlier, as Rob Hunt was mentioning then. It's literally a push-button stobble capability on the F-35B, not so in the Harrier. Yeovilton was a Harrier base, a Sea Harrier base, for close on 3 decades. The first Sea Harrier FRS-1s arrived here for the Intensive Flying Trials Unit in 1979, so it's the 40th anniversary of that this year. Very appropriate to mark that with this Harrier display from the Spaniards. The unit later became 899 Naval Air Squadron, and its Sea Harriers proudly wore 899's famed winged fist emblem on their tails. This was, of course, the scene of the retirement of the Sea Harrier, by now in FA2 form, in March 2006. Yet apart from the Spanish EAV-8Bs and the AV-8Bs of the US Marine Corps, the Italian Navy also still operates the AV-8B model. Both the Indian Navy, which flew the Sea Harrier Mark 51 form, and the Royal Thai Navy, which took on the older AV-8S models from the Spaniards, having retired their Harriers. Coming now into the hover, we'll see the Harrier performing a natural transition. fast, available from the Rolls-Royce Pegasus F402 turbofan engine. At the other end of the speed scale to what we've just seen, it gives the EAV-8B model, E of course for España in this case, a maximum speed of Mach 0.9, that's about 670 or so. After this, if you'd like to contrast the EAV-8B model with the ex-Royal Navy Sea Harrier F-82, there is one of those in the Navy Wings static display here. This such a familiar sight over this part of the Somerset skyline during the time the Shahs were active here. Thank you very much to Lieutenant Andres Medina from the 9th Escuadrilla of the Spanish Navy at Rota with the McDonnell Douglas EAV-8. Also, amongst others, Air Chief Marshal Sir Peter Squire, the former Chief of the Air Staff of the RAF, who led the Harrier GR3s that operated from HMS Hermes in the Falklands. But that's a marvellous demonstration of the present-day V-STOL capabilities of the Harrier from the Spanish Navy. Now, if you thought that was loud, wait till you hear the next item. And especially for those of you near crowd front, I really would get ready to either put earplugs on or ear defenders or put your fingers in your ears, because what's about to transpire is both incredibly impressive and incredibly noisy, and it's allowed to fly very close to us as well. But there goes the next but one display act, the RAF Short Tucano T1, getting airborne to go and hold off. Because heading towards us, crossing the runway now, is the vehicle. Each of the two jetmen we're about to see has no fewer than 1,050 horsepower on their backs. And each of these suits, I gather, sells for $440,000. Allow the wearer to fly at 32 miles an hour for up to 9 minutes. They're extremely controllable. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the 2019 Royal Air Force Tucano display. That distinct noise you'll hear throughout the display is the uprated Garrett TPE turboprop engine fitted to the RN Tucano by Shorts in Belfast. This particular engine boasts more power than the original Tucano design. If you look out to the left, you'll see Liam repositioning and coming back towards crowd centre, and he's about to roll the aircraft through 720 degrees in a 5-point roll.
This display is supported by Babcock International Group, who provide engineering and ground support to the RAF Tucano fleet at its home in Yeovilton on News in Yorkshire. And the team's thanks go out to them for helping us make this year's display possible. Liam now about to pull up to the start of the loop where he'll peak upside down at a height of 2,300 feet. This year's Tucano display pilot, as I've already mentioned, is Flight Lieutenant Liam Matthews. Liam is known in the military as a skivvy qualified flying instructor, meaning he demonstrated above average ability during his flying training and was selected at an early stage of his career to become a flying instructor. As Liam runs away from the crowd, he's going to pull up into a northeast-north turn. A great opportunity for some photographs of the Tucano in his plan for nodding to the left first, then to the right, then back down to the left as he dives back towards the crowd for some energy for his next manoeuvre. This is Liam's first season as a display pilot, and the Tucano's final year as a display aircraft, so a very momentous occasion for 72 Squadron. Would like to thank a few companies for their support this year. A special thanks go out to Breitling, Mountain Equipment and Osprey Europe. As Liam now repositions out to the left-hand side, he's going to put the aircraft onto its side and push his way around the sky in an outside turn. During this manoeuvre, Liam is going to be pushed out of his seat by a force equal to twice his own body weight. Another support you may have noticed in the team if you visited our tent already today is the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund. The team gives huge thanks for their support this year and enjoyed celebrating together 100 years of the RAF VF. Both myself and the display pilot this year were students training on the Tucano less than 2 years ago. The younger members of the audience out there, we were not long ago in your shoes watching the air displays here at Yeovilton, and you could very soon be in ours. The Tucano now at the end of its service has served 30 years with the #1 flying training school, the oldest military flying school in the world. As it finishes its final year of service, the Texan T1 aircraft is working up to replace the Tucano as part of the new UK military flying training system and will fly out to RAF Valley in North Wales. Demonstrating a high level of handling skill, Liam will now complete a slow roll as he passes back in front of you. This is one of many manoeuvres taught to all students as they progress through basic fast jet flying training. It teaches young aviators the handling skills required to appreciate the complexities involved when dynamically flying an aircraft. Another aircraft that's also based here at Yeovilton is the Grob Tutor, which is the starting point for fast jet flying. Both Liam and I flew that aircraft during our time as air cadets and during our own military flight training. Now the UK military are working up brand new aircraft as part of the UK military's new world-class flight training system, UK MFTS. Now positioning to fly the aircraft in a high G turn, pulling 4.5 G. As he runs back towards the crowd, he's going to pull hard on the stick and be pushed into the seat with a force of nearly half a ton. This manoeuvre is another example of manoeuvres taught to students at basic fast jet training, allowing them to appreciate how to fly an aircraft to its maximum performance. The Takano you see flying in front of you today is the stepping stone for flying a military fast jet. Students graduating from this aircraft will go on to fly the new Hawk T2 that is also based at RNAS in North Wales. Liam will now reposition out to the left-hand side to perform a favourite manoeuvre of Takano display pilots, the hanging stall turn. As he pulls up, the aircraft will appear to hang in mid-air at a height of about 2,500 feet before Liam will recover and dive for some speed for his next manoeuvre. For the photographers out there, this is a great opportunity to keep your cameras panned on the aircraft as he pulls up and appears to hang in mid-air. Now pulling up and putting the aircraft on a knife edge before feeding in some top roller to keep the aircraft pointed skywards. Liam joined the Royal Air Force directly from university, and I joined the Royal Navy after my A-level studies. Now fairly early in both our military careers, at the ages of 27 and 24, we have the opportunity to operate with the display team here today. 2019 is the final year for...
As the Takano then comes into land. As the Takano lands, thank you very much once again for your attendance today at the Royal Navy International Air Day 2019, with plenty going on the ground throughout the day as well as in the air. With cockpit access and plenty of industry exhibitors on hand to talk to you about their wares as well. Hangar 4 is the service display hangar with opportunities to discover more about the day-to-day life of different units, trades based at Yeovilton and other Royal Navy bases, and the STEM zone, Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, sponsored by Lockheed Martin, is in Hangar 8 with hands-on activities throughout the day. But now it's getting noisy once again with the Belgian Air Component. General Dynamics F-16A, MLU, Fighting Falcon. Belgian F-16 display pilot. His call sign is Vader. And here he is performing a barrel roll. Intended by its then manufacturer, General Dynamics, as a lightweight fighter, but which soon evolved into something far more... One of our sponsors, Lockheed Martin. More than 4,500 F-16s have now been delivered to air forces around the world, and it's still in contention for various new fighter procurement programs. The aircraft's performance has always been outstanding, and it remains so today, whether in the sort of hard-turning manoeuvring we've seen thus far in this display, or now at slower speeds. Vader setting up for his slow-speed pass. Continues to attract new customers for Lockheed Martin. Only very recently it was announced that Bulgaria is going to become the next F-16 operator. They're buying 8 of the new Block 70 models. significantly upgraded under the MLU, the mid-life upgrade, which brought these older aircraft to a configuration far closer to the newer X-16C and D models. They also saw action in 2011's Operation Unified Protector, the NATO efforts over Libya. More recently, they've been flying over Iraq and Syria. Now, see the aircraft coming in for a low approach. We'll be going around into a dirty barrel roll, dirty meaning with the undercarriage still down. Well, that was what I was expecting. But in fact, that's the end of the display from Captain Aviator Stefan Duck on the Belgian Air Component X-16. Right, well, we're back. As the X-16 clears, we now change the pace once again and we return to the Army Air Corps. Having seen the Apache earlier on today, it's very nice now to be able to present the 4 aircraft, 2 fixed wing, 2 rotary of the historic Army aircraft flight. And with me to talk you through the display, one of the members of the flight, Neil Knowles. And that will be followed Osprey B9 taken up now, showing its short field performance, and directly in front of us as they turn the Augusta Westland Scout, Augusta Belt C and the Westland Scout A81. Front this aircraft, the display are such that the chairs are different performance envelope, and the speeds don't match, and so it's not easy to put these aircraft together in the display. The historic Army aircraft flight displays aircraft that represent the heritage of Army aviation, which of course dates from the early 1900s with the balloon trials and with the Royal Flying Corps, which was an Army invention, which was one of the Army implications, and went on to become an organisation of buildings, the Royal Air Corps, and then split away slightly from the Air Force during the Second World War. And soon goes past Taliban Scout, and ahead of us, if you look straight ahead, you can see the Beaver and the Oscar flying circuit showing their slow speed handling characteristics. These aircraft represent the history of the Army Air Corps from 1957, which is when the modern Corps was formed. And each one has a special place in their history. The Beaver as a bush aircraft, working predominantly in the Far East and in the Middle East around the 60s and early 70s, and also in Northern Ireland. The Oscar AOP-9, which is in front of you now, is the aircraft that links the RAF Air Observation Space Squadron and the line of fire French road between that aircraft. And we now get turn to come back in front of the display line, and the scout further to your right is also carrying out the same manoeuvre. The Bell 47 was an American design from the 50s, and of course it was stuck at the 60s by the Army Air Corps. So well now, of course, the Cadillac helicopter in MASH, and in the 50s in the Korean War. Its history with the British Army was such that it was used in the devolved air troops. A lot of regiments, reconnaissance regiments and artillery, would have their own helicopters. It was a way of encouraging soldiers to apply to be pilots by giving control of the aircraft to the commanding officers. And it was a very successful experiment that went on throughout the 1960s and early 70s until everything was absorbed back in, basically due to the complexity of one aircraft. Fast in front now, the Beaver, used in Northern Ireland, used specialist cameras for intelligence gathering. One of it is still classified to this day. And many of the ex-Army Eagle Beavers are still flying around the world. As the Oscar turns right, inside the Beaver's turning circle, look to your left, coming up, appearing at our high-rate drops. The Scout is a purely British helicopter, designed by Porters and Rowe, and had a long gestation from the late 50s into the early 60s. Our particular aircraft, 66, came into service in 1963 and was finally retired from active service in 1994. And as she passes in front, the aircraft was the first armed aircraft in Army aviation, armed with SS-11 missiles, wide-guided missiles to take out Soviet-era armoured vehicles. This led to the tow missiles being used in the actual Lynx helicopter fleet, and the modern version which is the Apache. The Apache fleet takes on all the roles of all these previous aircraft. The Scouts will service in Northern Ireland, Far East, the Middle East, and most notably in the Falkland conflict, where it was massively successful, probably in the twilight of its military career. It's worth mentioning that all the people who maintain and fly the Army Historic Flight aircraft are all volunteers, and we are, although previously it was a military flying team, in around 2015 it became an established historic trust. So we're all seeking donations via our website, Historic Army Aircraft flight.com, and also via our Facebook page and on other means. And as a classic procession, Beaver flown by George Baker, followed by the Oscar, flown by Justin Hickman, Julie Hickman, right, and Rick Collins in the two, and Al Sparks in the Scout. All of the pilots are ex-Army pilots, ex-Army Air Corps pilots. A massive display of skill, dexterity, and the art of keeping all the aircraft at different speeds in the same place. And as you can see, it was a nice type of display there. As they come around now, what we will see is the aircraft form into two smaller flights. The Beaver will go forward and through, and the Oster will come in and carry out a touch and go before the rotary wing helicopters do a quick stop on the airfield. It's a beautiful and graceful airplane, the Yeovilton Beaver, and it only had a relatively short career in the Army. This particular aircraft came into service in 1961 and spent most of its early career flying in the Far East, between Singapore, Malaya, and over there, before coming back to flying mostly in Northern Ireland. As looking to the left, the Oster touches down, and Julian will lift it up now, and you can see the helicopter performing the manoeuvre known as quick stop. It's worth bearing in mind that the Sioux has a petrol engine effectively, unlike Kobe, but the Scout has a quite high power turbine. back in the fourth flight path here. And here you can see the Scout moving to the side, while Rich Collins in the Sioux back to the helicopters, and really the way that we use on operational service, which is observation. The height of the Scout, for example, is around the height that it was observed before firing SS-11 missiles. The Scout, of course, later on was redeveloped into the Wasp helicopter, which was a famous naval helicopter. Superficially the same, but with quite a few differences, because there's almost 9 years later after the original design. Its most noticeable difference is, of course, the Wasp has shock hydraulic undercarriage, as we say in the Army, but that's to allow it to land sufficiently on ships. A good photo opportunity now for everybody as the Beaver lands in front of our 2 rotary aircraft. And if you look to your left, the Oscar will also be going through shortly as well. And the Sioux and the Scout will lift slightly and do a nice bow to the crowd in a moment as well, if you want to get your cameras ready for that. Ladies and gentlemen, that completes the display for the historic Army aircraft flight. Thank you so much for joining our show today. We hope to see you at many other air shows around the country. Thanks very much, Ken.
Thank you, Neil. A lovely display. Great to see them back on the show circuit in some strength.
It's developing this display.
It certainly is, yes.
It's very nice to see so much action right in front.
Yes, thank you for mentioning the Wasp, folks. We didn't really get a chance to do that when we had the 2 Wasps flying earlier on, given they only did the 1 pass in today's display, so appropriate there to see the Scout. Thank you, Neil, and thank you to all the chaps from the historic Army aircraft flight.
Okay, let's try again for the Black Cats display. Chris will join today at low level and fast before rapidly climbing the aircraft's height and hover in front of you. Here he comes now, please welcome the Black Cats. Converting their energy to height, Chris went from 100 feet and 130 knots to 600 feet and 0 knots in a matter of seconds. To imitate coming in under the radar and climbing free to scout the map station. For touching down. And returning below height. Now to take a series of wing overs, so the rapid turn direction, and helicopter is taken along.
shows the aircraft with flat surface. Coming up there, watching display. Well, a naval air show would not be a naval air show almost without a demonstration of wing folding on a carrier-borne aeroplane, and those of you down at the left-hand end of the crowd line will have noticed the Sea Fury T20 of Navy wings doing just that, and of course affording extra space on crowded aircraft carrier decks. Wings. Now, in flying position as the Sea Fury rolls, and that's going off to hold prior to our next display act.
backflip, which accelerating to about 120 miles an hour, and you'll climb to 300 feet. This aircraft is quite something. It's developed from the Pitts special line of aerobatic biplanes, conceived by an American pilot called Curtis Pitts 75 years ago this year. It's incredible to think that a design that was first conceived towards the end of World War II can produce, with such development, an aircraft with the performance that we see here. Past and then pushing into a negative neutral, and then the first in a series of extremely uncomfortable looking drift rolls. Pretty much giving us another demonstration of fixed-wing hovering flight, the like of which we saw earlier with the F-35 and the Harrier. There is an incident in progress. The situation is under control and the emergency services are on full alert. If emergency vehicles need to deploy, please allow them free movement. And if you are on the FSC, so where you are, the main department will provide further information as soon as possible. Thank you for your cooperation. Rich Goodwin has developed his muscle biplane from the Pitts S2S special. Changed the design of the airframe considerably in various areas to improve further its aerobatic performance. Of course, it's fitted with a highly uprated engine and a bespoke aerobatic propeller. There he is going through transitioning from a stall turn into a couple of turns of a tumble. Able to transition from a very slow rate of roll to an incredibly rapid rate of roll, such as the control authority at his disposal of this aeroplane. Pulling once again to an extremely high altitude, and the speed again flicking off. Not a great amount of wind today, so he's not quite able to hover, but doing a very good job of it. Diving away once again to build up speed and build up energy. Pulling up again to our left. And into a spiral tower, spiralling in the vertical before pulling out. Carrying along what we call the main A action, it's pulling up on the 45-degree line and through two rolls. And then to the inverted, and pulling through a half loop up to about 1,100 feet before diving in once again, up into a barrel roll, but no ordinary barrel roll, because he gets to the apex and then negative G, shoulder snaps. Rich is a former Royal Air Force pilot, following in the footsteps of his legendary father Ken Goodwin, who was himself a Royal Air Force display pilot on the likes of the Hawker Hunter and the English Electric Lightning during his service days. Rich flew the Tornado GR1. He then entered the civilian world. He's an airline captain. He took up aerobatics initially as a hobby. Aerobatic competitions and building up his expertise all the way. Inverted pass into an outside 5/8 of an outside loop. Now once again up into a knife edge climb, showing us the upper surfaces of the aircraft briefly before he does a snap roll back to the knife edge. His sponsor's logo on the upper side of the aircraft, you might have seen that of RNAS. Of course, sponsorship vital for undertaking regular display activity. It's not a cheap business, so the support Rich receives from RNAS and his other backers, all important. You can see Rich has built up height now, getting ready to come in for a high-speed dive with a few rolls along the way. Once again, building up the speed and the energy as he pulls up what he calls his tower of power. The accelerated snap roll first of all, snap rolling into the vertical, and then he'll be torque rolling backwards through his own smoke. Well, wait till you see what Rich is planning next as he goes into climbing snap rolls away from us. Make sure that you're at the right part of your sequence, which is of course extremely well practiced. That you're maintaining all your gate heights, the necessary display distances and so forth. And that is the mark of a real professional, and your chance to say thank you for an utterly brilliant display of a show. We've had Rich here every year for the last few years. He never fails to put on a fabulous display. Positioning now for landing. Rich Goodwin back on the ground, scintillating stuff from him, and he will be in the Meet the Pilots area in Hangar 8. If you'd like to go and say hello to him, ask just how he does that astonishing flying with his muscle biplane. Now that he's back on the ground, Rich will of course be coming in to park, and he'll be there for the caution free. Now, today's weeks, August during 2020. Note of the 2,500 horsepower Bristol Centaurus 18 radial engine that powers this legendary naval fighter to a maximum speed of some 460 miles an hour. aircraft began in 1942 when Hawker set about producing a replacement for the Tempest II fighter in service with the RAF. Well, with the end of World War II in 1945 and the gradual move towards jets, the RAF no longer had a requirement, but Hawker carried on developing it as the Sea Fury for the Fleet Air Arm. This was in spite of the fact that the design took some perfecting as a carrier-borne fighter. When it was first trialled, indeed, the test pilots of the Aeroplane and Armament Experimental Establishment at Boston Down reported that it was not considered suitable for deck operation. Well, soon, modifications were made, and one of the greatest Fleet Air Arm fighters of them all entered service in October 1945 in Mark 10 form. Soon started to replace the Supermarine Seafire as the Fleet Air Arm's main carrier-borne fighter of the early post-war era. Soon production switched to the FB-11 fighter bomber, of which 650 were built. Korean War of 1950 to 53 that the Sea Fury really won its spurs. They were flown off 3 Royal Navy carriers and 1 Royal Canadian Navy carrier during that conflict, and it was on the 8th of August 1952 that the only British air-to-air kill of the Korean War was scored. A flight of Sea Furies encountered communist-flown MiG-15s, and one of them was credited with the shoot-down of that jet fighter in one of the very few piston fighter kills of a jet. At the time, credit went to Lieutenant Peter Carmichael. More recent evidence, however, suggests that it was another of the Sea Fury pilots in the same flight, Brian Ellis, who delivered the coup de grace against the MiG. Those jets, likes of the Hawker Seahawk and the Supermarine Attacker, replaced the Sea Furies in first-line Fleet Air Arm service pretty soon, but squadrons of the Royal Navy Volunteer Reserve carried on with their Sea Furies until 1955, and non-navalised Furies were used by the air arms of Iraq and Pakistan, amongst others. Today are ex-Iraqi Furies in particular. Quite a few of them, taking a lead from American unlimited class air racing, have been re-engined with American power plants built by Wright or Pratt & Whitney. Not this one, of course. The Bristol Centaurus still holds sway at the front of this 2-seat Sea Fury T20 conversion trainer, which was the second example of the 2-seater that was built. Delivered to 736 Squadron, from whom we'll be seeing the Hawks during the Commando Assault finale in early 1950, stationed at RNAS circuit since 2011. With the disbandment of the Royal Navy Historic Flight earlier in 2019, the whole of the RNHF fleet is now in the process of being passed to Navy wings to join the Sea Fury in civilian operation in the future. This one of 60 Sea Fury T20s that were built for the Fleet Air Arm and saw a great deal of hard service as conversion trainers. This in spite of the fact that by all accounts visibility from the rear seat isn't exactly the best. The aircraft in the hands today of Chris Gutka, former commanding officer of the Royal Navy Historic Flight, now a volunteer Sea Fury pilot for Navy Wings. As I was saying earlier, Navy Wings, of course, in need of your support to help keep this and other aircraft flying, and you can make donations by text to that end. To donate £3 to Navy Wings, simply text FLY, that's FLY, to 70144 and help do your bit. Alternatively, of course, you can go and find out more from the Navy Wings marquee towards the rear of the crowd area in the vicinity of a superb line of aircraft that they have assembled both from their own fleet, some of the Fleet Air Arm Museum aeroplanes, and some of the aircraft from associate operators who help Navy Wings out, representing them at events. Amongst others, we've got Paul Kehoe's Stitz Reliant here. We've of course already seen the Wessex and the two Wasps. We're also delighted to welcome back with a representative of a much earlier naval aeroplane, David Bremner, with his family's Bristol Scout reproduction from the First World War that's on display here in one of the hangars. But on the finals to land, a typically elegant display in one of his favourite mounts, Chris Gutka with the Hawker Sea Fury T20 from Navy Wings. Incidentally, Chris has more than played his part in the F-35 programme, because he was the project pilot for the so-called VARC Harrier, the much modified Harrier T4 that was used as a fly-by-wire testbed to look into the control philosophies for the F-35, and it was the VARC Harrier that conducted the first ever hands-off landing on a ship underway during 2006. With our next contribution from the present-day Royal Air Force, what we're about to hear, two Eurojet EJ200 afterburning turbofans, which when the reheat is engaged, each deliver 20,000 pounds of thrust and can power this aircraft to a maximum speed of twice the speed of sound. It's also able to super cruise, that is to reach Mach 1 speed of sound and above without the need to use afterburner. This aircraft comes from number 29 Squadron at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. It is, of course, the Eurofighter Typhoon XGR-4. for both its air-to-air and air-to-ground roles, because of course the air defence task remains very important indeed, and Typhoons often get scrambled, as you will have seen in the news, for instance. Several Russian long-range aircraft probing the edges of our airspace. Incidentally, a high-speed pass at some 600 or so knots, 0.9 Mach, and that brake at the end saw Jim being subjected to 9G, 9 times the force of gravity. Quite apart from any Russian aircraft Typhoons may encounter, they can be scrambled after airliners about which there are security concerns. But also, the aircraft is very much in using the air-to-ground role. The RAF was way ahead of the other Eurofighter operating nations in introducing that. It demonstrated it for the first time in Operation Elemi over Libya in 2011. That was the Typhoon's combat debut. More recently, and indeed still today, the aircraft are engaged in Operation Shader, the British fight against Daesh. In Lincolnshire, where this one comes from, apart from 29, which provides the display aircraft, which is the operational conversion unit, there are numbers 3 and 11 squadrons on the front line, and number 41 squadron, the operational evaluation unit of the Typhoon, at RAF Lossiemouth on the Murray Firth in Scotland. There are numbers 1, 2, 6 and 9 squadrons at both of those locations. The Typhoons hold QRA, quick reaction alert, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, providing air defence around the British Isles. Final pass. In addition, there's the rather smaller Typhoon presence at Mount Pleasant in the Falkland Islands with number 1435 flight. At Lossiemouth, number 9 squadron is the latest Typhoon squadron, operating some of the earlier so-called Tranche 1 jets, performing quick reaction alert missions, and with a secondary aggressor role in the offing, assisting other units in air combat training. And later this year, number 12 squadron will reform as well on Typhoons, starting out as a training unit, a joint RAF and Qatar Emiri Air Force unit. And indeed, we're delighted to welcome the Qatari air arm here with a C-17 and C-130J in the static part, because they are becoming one of the latest operators of this very impressive aeroplane. Coming into land And touching down from number 29 Squadron at RAF Coningsby, Flight Lieutenant Jim Peterson with the Eurofighter Typhoon MGR-4.
3,000 feet above ground. He will use, in the most effective way, the aircraft's impressive agility and its amazing climb capability, executing some of the aerobatic maneuvers that the air cadets are being taught during their training phase. Our ground safety observer is Captain Kostas Papageorgiou. The Tango 6 aircraft demonstration team was established in 2005. Inspired by Greek mythology, the team was named after Daedalus, who was the father of Icarus. The word originated from the word Daedalo, meaning to work artfully. So performing a display is nonetheless a work of aerial art.
Dear visitors, Daedalus is pleased to be among you in Royal Navy International Air Day. Enjoy the show!
On your left, the pilot is accelerating to a speed of 300 miles per hour, descending at 100 feet above runway. Approaching the show center, he will execute the opening demonstration maneuver, the fish hook. Pulling 3G, 6G, he flies vertically and executes a roll. He will continue flying inverted. And then he returns the aircraft in an upright position and sets it up for the next maneuver, the loop. Left. The pilot dives and accelerates to turn 300 miles per hour to execute the loop. Pulling 5G, he draws a vertical circle. At the top of the maneuver, the altitude is 2,300 feet. Look on your right, where the pilot glides with a barrel roll to reposition the aircraft for the next maneuver, the 4-point roll. Flying from your right, the Tango 6 executes a horizontal 4-point rotation. On your left, the pilot executes a reverse Cubanade, a steep 60 degrees climb, Then he rolls the aircraft and dives to increase his speed and fly over the show center to position himself for the next maneuver, the Texas Sidewinder. Puts the aircraft initially flying away from us to reserve towards us by pulling 5 G. He reverses again and continues climbing. After the steep dive, the pilot will demonstrate a minimum radius turn of 900 meters. At this moment, the demo pilot counteracts a force 6 times greater than the normal gravity force, increasing his body weight to about 500 kilograms. At the completion of the turn, the pilot reverses the aircraft and continues to fly inverted. Now, with the pilot executing a half Cubanate to reposition the aircraft and accelerate for the next maneuver, the 9th edge pass. On our left, flying with a speed of 280 miles per hour, the pilot will bank the aircraft to 90 degrees towards us to continue in front of the show center. The next maneuver will be an inverted pass. You will have the chance to admire the Tango 6 flying in a low altitude and a relatively slow airspeed. On our right, the Tango 6 with the landing gear extended, greeting you all with a pilot salute, the characteristic wing rock. For the end of the show, enjoy a fascinating low altitude, high speed flyby. On your left, at an altitude of 100 feet above ground, the aircraft accelerates to 300 miles per hour, heading for the show center. The pilot performs a vertical climb, roll the Viper S. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed our Tango 6 capabilities display. On behalf of the Daedalus Tango 6 demo team, I would wish to thank you for your attendance to our demonstration, and I hope to meet you in our stand later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a very nice UK debut for the demo team from the Hellenic Air Force.
Just waiting for the red arrow to come through and do the signs of it. Why?
Before we move on to the next display item, as the Greek T6 comes in to land, another reminder that Planes TV are of course here again recording for the official Royal Navy International Air Day DVD and Blu-ray. They have 4 cameras here on site and more are planned to go on board some of the display aircraft that have been entertaining us today. If you advance order the DVD or Blu-ray today, you get to take away a free DVD called Air Show Action 12. It's got more than an hour of aviation action from the last air show season, including the RAF 100 flypast over London.
That's all right, don't matter. I'll just leave it.
And several in-cockpit special features with cameras on board, the likes of Rich Goodwin's Fit Special and the Canadian performance during the display here last year.
Really carefully though.
DVD costs £20, the Blu-ray £25, both plus postage and packing. Then you can place your order and collect your free DVD from the Planes TV stand. Look out for the flag flying from it saying DVD, or you can order online at planestv.com. It's to